Hello, what is up? And welcome to Why It Matters, a podcast focused on the most important topics in real estate, investing, and just living your best life. My name is Justin Knoll.
And I'm Nicole Ruth.
Yes.
And I'm just so excited to be here.
Hey, Justin, do we need to take a bio break real quick?
We probably should. I was just mostly kidding. I drink lots of liquids in the morning. Here we go.
I think we started on that. That's actually a fantastic way to start because that's kind of, you know what? It's December.
Yes.
It's December of probably the hardest year of most of our careers.
Yes.
And I'm gonna start this podcast with I gotta pee. So that's just what we got.
Here we go. It's now a new name to the podcast. Oh, crap, I gotta pee. Before we get going, I definitely want to say thank you and hello to our production team behind the scenes. We've got Peter, we've got Ashley. You'll hear Ashley jump in every once in a while, probably to tell us we're doing something wrong. But hello, nerds.
What
Welcome.
up?
What up?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah. So today we're talking about all things one more, right? So how are we ending this year? We're going to talk a little bit about what happened this week. Where did rates go and why? My gosh, we saw just a massive move for the last 30 days. And certainly that move continued this last week. And then what's the news doing with this information that's giving our buyers a bit of what, bipolarism?
Yes,
I don't
that's
know.
a good word for it. It is by the minute
Wow.
changing. Holy cow.
Yes. So they don't know. And when you have uncertainty, you have this fear cycle that happens and you have inaction,
That's
right?
That's absolutely right. 100%.
We're talking about how do you create certainty in an uncertain environment?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
And guys, what we really need to understand is certainty is our absolute number one human need that we have. It's important for us to know where we're going home to, what we're having for dinner, where our bed is, who is with us on our journey. That is our absolute number one need that we have. And that's undeniable. I don't care who you are. The more certainty you have, the other human needs that we have really come into more focus. So it starts with that certainty. And I do find the biggest roadblock to creating certainty is fear. It's absolutely
Agreed.
fear of the unknown. And that's what we're seeing in our market. That's what we're seeing with consumers and also in our personal relationships. I know I'm guilty of that as charged. So, so how do we create more certainty out of all this?
You're
fear?
uncertain in your personal relationships?
Always.
You need to explain this to me.
Yeah. You know, this time of year is always about reflection, right? And I've
Yeah.
been reflecting. We went on a quick trip to Del Mar to watch
You
some horse
did.
racing.
Yes.
Watch horse racing.
You lost a lot of money, I heard.
I lost $24. $24 in a matter of hours. Just wasn't feeling it. We had a great time, but I spent a lot of that time really reflecting, not just on the business that we had over the last year, which whatever, we're just going to move on from that. Reflecting on who I am in this world and am I presenting my true genuine self, not just to the world, but I really started thinking about, am I presenting it to myself? And that's where I was finding uncertainty is some of the basic tenets, the things that I've always committed to, maybe aren't as clear as they were before. Maybe who I am right now is not as clear as it was. So I really have stepped back and said, you know what, damn the goals of, you know, any monetary or closings or any of this stuff, and just said, I've got to present myself in who I truly am now. And that is the certainty I'm seeking. Where was the uncertainty? It's in fear, right? It's in fear of the unknown. I don't know where the next thing is coming from. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know, you know, we've got a bunch of projects that we're working on. I don't know where they are right now. And I just have to be okay with that and damn the fear and find certainty where I can. And so that's what I've been trying to do. Your business planning stuff, the goal setting stuff from last time, I took with me and I worked on the plane. It was so incredible.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So thank you for that gift
Oh,
of
you're
really
welcome.
making me dig in and not just say, well, if I have 16 more appointments, I'll have this many more closing. No,
You don't
this is-
actually have closings anymore.
I don't do
We're
that.
gonna put that into
I'm so
perspective.
sorry.
So, but what you're saying, the sentiment of the uncertainty and throwing out the old goals and getting simplified is not unique right now. Certainly the last 14 years, we could set this more volume, more units, more success, more production, bigger teams,
Yep.
more people, more headcounts, more. And it was very certain. It was the last 14 years have been this growth of trajectory in all things business, in
Yeah.
real estate,
Yeah.
right? And then all of a sudden 2023 kind of shook us. and then said, well, what's important? Because all of a sudden, maybe the volume wasn't as important. The dollars aren't as important. The numbers of clients served aren't as important. And it gets back to what you were talking about last time when we were talking about the Nordstrom service and that quality experience,
Yep.
right? So that's the most important thing. And having those one-on-one conversations with some of my real estate partners, talking about saying no to more things and getting crystal clear on what's important, and simplifying the business process
That's it.
and the ideals of how they're going to present to the market and have relationship with their clients.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, it is an interesting time. I have a coach as well. I know we fully believe in it. You coach me even when I don't want it. But even in having a conversation as recently as yesterday, I had done the visioning and I was very clear, and I did the vision for my business, for my life. I put up the vision board. And even as recently as yesterday, she's like, so how are you on that? And I said, I'm still uncertain. Like I'm
Wow.
gaining clarity, but I'm still processing,
Right.
and working through 2023 and really kind of working through the emotion, the mental state, the data, in creating this 2024 that's going to have amazing success because it's going to be designed, right?
Right. Absolutely.
It's incredible power.
So do you give yourself a deadline to say, I have to have all my visioning done by this date, or is it somewhat organic and constantly flowing? I know you work on deadlines constantly. You love deadlines.
I do love deadlines. And I had the deadline
Yeah.
of our third week in November
Yep.
is my vision casting deadline. And then I would say that December is kind of that, it's still squishy, right?
Yeah.
It's still like a clay mold, like Play-Doh.
It's not in the kiln yet. It's not in the
I
kiln.
love Play-Doh. I love the smell of
It's so
Play-Doh.
good.
So anyway, so it's kind of like that Play-Doh where you've created the thing, but it has to sit out to become hard,
Yep,
right? And
yep,
to become constant.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Nicole,
Huh?
I don't think you're supposed to sniff Play-Doh.
It's so
No.
good. Why is that so good?
I
The
think-
nostalgia.
Mommy, what's that smell?
It's
What's that
good.
smell, Mommy?
That's so sweet. So you don't, it's still a work in progress. You're going to work through December and still think, okay, how can I massage this? What needs to change? What needs to shift a little bit? Maybe there's nothing, maybe there's small things, but you're still kind of working through this.
Does it feel good? Right? Because so many of the things that we're used to the last 14 years of wanting to have a certain level of production or success, it might just be different this year.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
might be simpler. So, we're getting into, let's jump a little bit into the economics and into
Yeah.
the forecasting. And I know you've got a full stack of ideas that you want to share as well. But as we're looking at this, you go back and forth between some of the economists, whether it's NAR, whether it's MBA, whether it's Realtor.com or any of the other ones, saying what their projections are right now, right? And the market's getting flooded with it.
Yep.
And consumers are seeing it.
Nonstop.
It's hitting CNBC. It's hitting the headlines and the 5 o'clock news. So we're trying to figure out, and most recently seeing that home prices might actually go down a little bit, right? -1.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that?
Minimal.
That's a +1, -1, +3, -3. I mean, I'm not necessarily worried about that. NAR and MBA came out saying that they're expecting an increase in originations and an increase in existing home sales.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
But do we get a little bit of a softening? A lot of it depends on how much inventory we get to market and how much the interest rates actually drop.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Fed, shall we?
I can't keep up with all this.
I'm
I
exhausted.
don't know how you do all this.
I'm
Every day I'm like,
exhausted.
I can't learn more. Here we go.
You can learn.
I
I believe
know.
in you.
I thank you. I
Okay.
am learning more. Here we go. You forced me to.
So the Fed came out. Well, the Fed didn't come out. Actually, that's the whole point. So I wrote the DMAR market trends video. We did that yesterday. The blog and the video went out yesterday morning. The headline being is that the Fed was going to drop the Fed rate 6 times next year, right? And I even had several, not just one, I had several real estate agents text me, call me. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic news. Can I start counting on this? Are the rates going down?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not the Fed. The Fed didn't say that they were going to drop the Fed rate 6 times. ING did, ING. ING is just another one of the banks that are coming out with all of their economic forecasts. And they just had come out. It was all over Instagram. It was all over social media. that they had announced that they're going to drop the Fed rate, or they believe the Fed rate is going to be dropped 6 times. Now, this is after UBS. So 6 times equates to, on average, 0.25% per drop. So 1.5% in total. We're at 5.25 right now. And this is kind of a big deal in the sense that, number one, it releases attention on our financial markets. It releases or it lowers the short-term rates. Our HELOC rates come down, our car loan rates come down, our credit card interest rates come down, all of the things that are tied to the short-term rate, which is built off of the Fed rate. The Fed rate does not impact the 30-year fixed. So hearing the Fed is going to drop the Fed rate 6 times doesn't mean we're going to have lower interest rates. We actually could get lower interest rates just by the fact that the market believes that lower interest rates are coming, and they start to reduce that risk premium that we've been seeing, right? Because remember, the historical average between the 10-year Treasury yield and the 30-year fixed rate is 1.65. Right now it's 3. So it's a whole 1.5 points higher than it should be due to the risk of the financial markets.
Okay.
So even just the market believing it, we could start seeing the 30-year fix coming down.
Okay.
But now UBS had come out, Bank of America has come out, Goldman Sachs has come out. They're all coming out right now. JP Morgan is coming out. So all of them are coming out talking about where they think the Fed is going to take the Fed rate next year. We're really looking towards them heading towards 2.5%. At what point, at what speed? UBS said we're expecting them to drop the Fed rate as much as 2.75. That's double what ING came out at, and a massive drop from 5.25, all in 1 year.
Right.
That we were going to see the Fed. I mean, I'd have to calculate that out. What is that? That's 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 drops.
Sounds right.
That
No
sounds
idea.
right.
I have no idea.
That's-
Math.
There's not even 11 meetings. I mean, so that would mean that they'd have to start dropping it in 0.5 and 0.75% increments. It has to start to get clear at some point. The market's exuberance is based on a number that equates to a bad economy. So if the Fed starts dropping the Fed rate with this kind of speed, it means, oh shit, hold on, the economy is going into a hard landing. Like, buckle up.
So you might, while your interest rate might go lower, your job might be at higher risk.
Your job is completely at higher risk.
Okay.
So this is a massive conversation. So we in the housing market, we've been in this housing recession for over 1.5 years now, right? Since since March of 2022. You start to lose years during COVID, don't you? I have to really
COVID
think.
brain.
COVID started in 2020.
Yeah, 22.
So we're anxious about this. We want the Fed to start lowering the Fed rate. We want interest rates. We want the inflation to come down. We want unemployment to go up. We want the long-term rates to come down. But ING and UBS are saying that they're expecting these massive drops because they're expecting a hard landing. They're expecting a full recession. They're expecting massive job loss, and they're expecting inflation to drop down because consumers will no longer be spending. So while we want that, do we want that? Or do we want a soft landing?
Yes, please.
Right?
Yes, please. However, we need to lobby.
I'd like some cream in my coffee.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be not so harsh, not so strong, a little calm. And in fact, I like a tan. I
Yeah.
really like a khaki coffee.
Because how do American consumers react when it is such a harsh swing? Does the pendulum swing that much further and we kind of all just go, well, I'm not buying anything now. I'm not doing anything for a while. And that's when we see.
To some degree, right? So to some degree, you're going to have this massive fear that is
Mhm.
going to ignite depending on which job markets get affected most.
Yeah.
Right. So we've seen the massive job loss in the financial markets, surprise, surprise, in the real estate markets, right? Surprise, surprise. We're starting to see job losses in hospitality.
Mm.
They were the ones that were most affected by COVID and then ramped up as quickly, and they had the most increases in wages, and now they're pulling backwards, right? So we're already starting to see some of this job loss or correction with wages.
Okay.
So hard landing, soft landing. I'm not going to say that we're going to hit one or the other, but I am going to say I don't think that the Fed is going to do what the market wants it to do, because it knows that that is going to have a ripple effect. Although having said that, I'm not going to say the Fed's entirely intelligent at this point. I don't know. Okay. So
Strong.
a couple things that have happened this week alone, right? So we got the JOLTS report, which dropped significantly to 8.7 million job openings. We actually saw that layoffs had picked up, job openings had tightened, and people were quitting less. So that job market is starting to get more in line with pre-pandemic. So that was really good news because last month it jumped up and it surprised the entire market. And so now it's gotten to be back in line. ADP numbers just came out this morning showing a softening of the job market, which isn't necessarily always in line with the jobs report on Friday. But if the jobs report on Friday shows a decrease in job openings and a slowdown in wages, and we see unemployment go up from 3.9 to 4%, we are going to continue to see interest rates come down because that means that the job market is slowing. We're seeing more people on unemployment. The continued claims are staying on longer. Once I've gone on unemployment, I'm staying on unemployment. I can't find a new job. All of those things are heading towards the fact that they're starting to spend less, right? Spending less. We also know that the consumer, we saw massive amounts of spending around Thanksgiving. In fact, one of the things that I mentioned in the DMAR Market Trends report was the fact that we had the largest air travel day in history. Right?
Crazy.
And we saw massive amounts of spending on Cyber Monday. In fact, the buy now, pay later was up 43% on that singular day.
Ooh.
Yes. So people are spending. The actual personal savings rate is down. Historical average is 8%. Right now, it's just over 3%. We've got our 401k hardship withdrawals is actually up 300%. All of these things are happening that says that the consumers are heading towards a slowdown, and they're simply running out of money. Credit cards are up. Credit card delinquencies are up. The interest rates are up. Credit card interest rates are up over 27% right now. Have you checked your interest rates lately? Car loan interest rates are up 8%. Used car sales are down. So we're starting to see the cracks in the economy, right?
That makes sense. Okay. So all these ingredients may lead to people just going, look, I have no more money in the bank. I can't pull any more out. 401k, I can't tap into anymore. Credit cards are maxed. I'm now back against the wall. I cannot buy anything else right now.
And I might lose my job next year.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to panic, right? On top of that, we've got the majority of the existing home sales market locked in under 6%, which is still under where they are today.
Yep.
So why would I not just stay put, which is going to impact our inventory and it's going to impact next year's real estate market.
It's fair.
Now, on the other side of this, and I want to actually show, this quote from the Fed, right? So the other side of this is we did see market exuberance because while Ing and UBS is saying that we're going to see a hard landing, we're going to see a drop in the Fed rate, the Powell continues to come out saying it's premature. We are not talking about a Fed rate cut. In fact, there might be a Fed rate increase. But I will say that the one sentence he said, so this was at a conference that he held on Friday. The one thing he said that the strong actions we have taken have moved out policy rate well into restrictive territory. What the market did was hang on to that. So immediately after that comment, let's see.
Here, what can I do?
I don't know. I'm trying to get this to, all right, here we go. I might not just show the slides because I was kind of excited about this next slide, but I'm just going to go back to both of us. So either way, we can send out the slide deck, but when will the Fed actually cut the Fed rate? So there's a Fed watch tool that says what the market believes. So Ing and UBS came out talking about the fact that we're going to see these massive Fed rate cuts. So Fed Chair Powell came out saying that we might have hit a restrictive tightening that is well within the restricted territory, right? So we might be good there. The market exuberance came out saying that we could see Fed rate cuts as soon as January.
Okay.
So 15% said January, and now a larger percentage, almost 50%, are saying that we're going to see the first Fed rate cut in March. Whereas I would say personally, we're not going to see a Fed rate cut until May or Q3. I just don't think that we're there yet.
Okay.
While inflation is coming down, So, this conversation of will the Fed actually drop this quickly? Will interest rates then, will the economy slow? Will interest rates drop that quickly? Will that imply that if the 30-year fix drops that quickly, will we see more buyers come on the market fast, too fast for supply, which is what we were just talking about, this
Yep.
restricted supply, causing prices to go up
Go up again.
dramatically,
Yep.
pricing out first-time home buyers.
Yep.
And if you saw the DMAR Market Trends report, we talked about this massive swell of millennials that are continuing to come in. We had a positive 1.9% of millennials coming in with over $200,000 in income. And now Colorado's 41% millennials, which is crazy, right?
Holy cow.
So as they're home buying, if we see these increases in demand, which we did see in November based on the drop in interest rates, and if we don't see the inventory coming out, we are going to see prices continue to go up. Even though right now, you look
It
at
feels like-
realtor.com, you look at some of the other economists, and they're saying we could see prices drop a percent.
I just don't see that here. I mean, there's
I know.
just so much
I
demand.
don't see it here in Denver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh,
So all of this, I'm going to sum it up to why it matters, right? Because there's a lot going on, and you've got to remember that your consumers are consuming this data on a regular, right? They're consuming it on CNBC, they're consuming it on the 5 o'clock news, they're consuming it in the papers and the conversations on social media.
Yep.
Because even social media, that's where I was getting all the questions around. Oh my gosh, are they really going to drop it 6 times? This is such good news.
I'm so glad I did not send my text to you yesterday. It was like rate drops. I would have been one of those.
I would have blasted you.
Yeah.
Not anybody else, but you definitely. But here's where I go in the conversations that I'm having, because I'm talking to a lot of people that are still like, should I buy? I'm hearing rates are going to drop. Should I wait until the spring? Should I wait until the summer? I'm thinking about pulling out equity from this home and going to buy that home, or I want to buy my first home. And ultimately, I get back to the fact of we ultimately don't know. We simply don't know. And to base our decision on what the news media cycles are saying is important does not allow me to take my personal and family financials to the highest level of protection and advancement that I can, right?
Yeah.
So I have to protect myself and my family. So if it's the right time to buy, then it's the right time to buy.
That's right.
Right. And right now we do have less demand because it's the holidays. We do have less supply, of course, because we're going into the holidays, but we have active listings sitting on the market longer, giving buyers the opportunity to negotiate. And we have the ability to refinance later. So we have all those things. And these are things that I know to be true. So don't build your business on hope, and don't let your clients design their home buying strategy on hope. Sit down with them, which I know is part of what you're going to jump into
That's right.
next.
Yeah.
And I really want to hand this over because the data would tell you, I could go in either direction. I could say that the economy is crashing. We're heading into a cycle where we're going to start to see more defaults, or opportunity is in front of me. Interest rates are going to drop down and I need to become a home buyer. So you could read the news in any direction you want, but I would say that when it's the right time, if the opportunity presents. So this one client that I had yesterday, and this is where I'll end. This one client, he was amazingly astute. He's already got 3 properties that have a 1.25 million in net worth.
Nice.
Between the 3 of them. And he's talking about moving back into his Denver one because he can no longer short-term rent it. So that was his next strategy,
Okay.
which I thought was a decent
Yeah.
strategy given the position. By the time we were done having the conversation, I said, you're tripping over quarters to pick up pennies moving back into your Denver property.
Okay.
You can't short-term rent it anymore. Convert it into a midterm rental. Then you need to take all the equity that you have in your golden property, and you need to leverage that and pull that out with a home equity line of credit based on your primary home. And you need to go move into right now a 2 to 4 unit, because he was willing to do that with 5% down based on the new program, and start building long-term wealth and opportunity. And then if you want, and it's still super important to you, in a year, you can move back into your Denver property so that you can short-term rent it again.
Done.
And now you've got 4 more doors, right? And this equity growth.
How was his response?
He was like, okay, that was brilliant. Because he was sitting waiting to cash out refinance until the rates dropped. And I said, do it now. And then if you want to jockey positions and refinance each one of these properties over the next couple of years, that's your win.
Yeah.
Again, you're tripping over quarters to pick up pennies. We've got to open up and stop allowing people to get sidelined by the headlines and focus on the opportunities.
Yep. This is where, Nicole, really you do shine. And you've done this
Yeah.
for us personally. You've done this for thousands of people I know, but to really dig in and go, I see what you're saying
Yeah.
and why that makes sense. Let me reframe it and show you something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you do it with a lot of force usually. So it's like this 2x4 to the side of the head. And you're like, oh, of course that makes more sense than what I was thinking. But you take the time and you actually study these things and you dig into what people are doing. You ask one more question, right? You ask
Yes.
just that next thing. So that's awesome. I'm thoroughly confused. I don't think I'll ever move again. I don't want to ever.
Well,
deal
you have
with
a great
rates.
house with a great payment and a great rate.
We do.
Yes.
Yay.
As
Ruining-
does 90% of our
That's right.
homeowners
That's
out
right.
there.
That's right. But you can't just sit on the sidelines, right? I'm one of those that never sits on the sidelines, just
Yeah.
comfortable with where things are. Go, okay, we got that done. Now we just sit until something knocks on our door and says, hey, what about this? No, I'm always seeking something. Whether you shoot it down is fine, but I'm always looking for
I do it
things.
politely,
You
not
do.
always
You
with a
do.
2x4.
You do. Well, I think, thank you so much. It's overwhelming at times for most
Yeah.
of us, especially in the real estate industry. We're so focused on the actual house and the transaction, that kind of stuff, that this financial stuff can be overwhelming to us. And we often don't know how to answer questions or what to even think. And we end up nodding our head and agreeing or whatever, like I've been doing. But dig into this stuff. Do really study this stuff. It does matter, because you said it during this, your clients are paying attention, right? Your clients are out there watching CNBC and all these things. Like, you have to pay attention to it.
Well, and you don't have to go so deep that you're the economist, right? But you do have to put it into perspective, because they don't know.
That's right.
And as they won't walk into a house and just buy a house for the sake of buying a house today. They're buying a house based on necessity. And that's expected to go into next year, right? This necessity based on how many people now, 40% of people don't even have a loan. And then you've got 90% of people are locked in under 6, 80% locked in under 5. So they're like, I don't know why I would move. So your conversation should be, what is it that you're hearing? What is it that you're feeling and thinking? And how do you align real estate into your long-term wealth goals? And maybe it's not moving. Maybe it's just simply buying that second home, that investment property, moving across the country, taking advantage. I have a gal that I just talked to last night. She lives here in Denver. She can get a work from anywhere letter. She found a triplex in Cleveland, Ohio, that she's going to actually go move to Cleveland, Ohio for a year, bounce around, and then come back to Denver because she sees opportunity.
Brilliant.
This is the time to have conversations around opportunity and strategy,
Yep.
not just on how's that house? Are
Yeah.
you outgrowing
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
Right?
So I want to share with you, I have a bunch of coaching clients around the nation, and I had one the other day, and she said, can we just have this conversation? I've got these clients I've been showing houses to for several years, and this perfect one just came up, and they seem very hot to trot and excited about it. And then it gets time to put pen to paper, right? And let's submit an offer. I've talked to the other agent. Let's get this going. And the brakes go on. And this immediate pushback of, well, I don't know. And she asked me, what do you think that is? And I said, well, they haven't been heard, right? That's what it felt to me, was that consumer, that buyer had not been heard by anybody about their concerns, about what they were thinking about, the scariness of all that's going on. And we just need to slow down and ask that one more question. Why is this so important to you? Or why? Tell me what this means to you. And what you'll find is there's probably something from their past that could be very irrational. It could be some experience they had, 1 out of a million experiences, that has now led them to believe that this is not the right move. So I just said, start asking more questions. And she did, and she had a lot of fun with it. And I reminded her of a book that I love, and we've actually shared a lot with. It's called Building a Story Brand. Donald Miller wrote this, and it really is about communicating and marketing in today's world. And it's very different. When I started 25 years ago, it was, Justin, put on your cape, fly around town and show people and tell people why you're so amazing at this job and why you're going to save them as their real estate person, right? Junk. It's crap. What's shifted is they are the hero. We need to take our cape and put it on the consumer. Let's talk about their story. Let's talk about what they are after, what they're trying to accomplish, and how we can help them just get there. But we so many times just we don't ask the question, but we just talk about what we're going to do to make their life better or how we're going to get this done. That may help get it sold, but you're not solidifying or strengthening that relationship on trust. And when they trust you, you can get a lot more done. And that's where your clients are. They trust you. They come to you for advice. And it is that one next question. It's that one extra layer of questions. Tell me why that's so important to you. Or where did you arrive at that answer? I want to know where you got this answer.
CNBC.
There you go. Right. And if you say that, I would say, okay, well, here's something on the other side that I can share with you that may at least broaden their perspective a tad. That's all we're hoping for. So really, guys, what we're asking is put the cape on your clients, take it off of yourself. You're not the superhero flying about town, making things wonderful, right? We just have systems and tactics and strategies in place that help our clients be the hero of the story. I'll ask you this, for everybody you're working with now, do you know what their hero story is? Do you know when they feel like they're going to be the hero in life and when their family is going to celebrate them for what they've accomplished? Do you know what that looks like? And if you don't, I advise you spend the next couple of weeks getting really quiet speaking and really turn up your ears and listen. Get on the phone and just talk to people. How are you doing? What's happening? That next level question of their goals and where they're going, that will create certainty in their world, which is ultimately going to bring you certainty in the relationship you share with them. Guys, success is in the truth. Success is in the truth. We've got to seek it and we've got to find it together. So dig in, ask those questions, that one extra question, write some out, have fun with it, but just probe deeper and deeper. The thing I do know about humans is we all want to talk about ourselves. Every single one, even my quiet engineering nerdy type that sits behind a computer that I've worked with and sold numerous houses to, when I get him as answering questions, it just flows and it keeps going. And he wants to tell his story, and we should be celebrating that.
I want to, if you've not read the Story Brand book, this would be a perfect season to do that.
Amazing.
To be able to read that going into the new year. Because I keep thinking about the same, all the data that we just talked about and all of the spins that we've been going through over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
My gosh, it's been a tornado nonstop,
Yep.
hasn't it?
Yep.
And so as you're talking and I'm listening about this, I'm going, what's my hero story? What's my husband's hero story? Have I even leaned into him, to my kids? What's their story? I mean, they went through the pandemic as much as I did, but
That's right.
I don't know that I've stopped and asked them how they're doing today and what their needs are today that are different than, because the pandemic changed all of us permanently. And maybe it made us more aware of what we want, what we need, who we are, or maybe we're more uncertain than ever, and helping them find that certainty.
Asking questions helps them find it, right?
Yes.
Just ask the questions. When you're home and your kids are home for the break, just ask them questions about things, about how was COVID for you? Let's talk real. Just tell me how you feel. Tell me what you feel now. So we've got some hands going up in the production room back here. Is that what we're calling it?
The production room.
The production room.
Back of house.
Yes, in the house.
In the house. What do we got?
So we do have a quick question from Heather. She says, can you give a couple of examples of good questions to ask to get people to share their hero story?
I love that.
I love asking how they got to where they are, right? So start with getting them to tell the story of the track they're on, right? That will get them to open up. So go to the beginning of the story. How did you start? Or where was your first home that you bought if you're in real estate? Or talk to me about your first job that really connected you to where you are now, right? And then you just keep going down the road. Well, why did you leave that job? Or why did you sell that house? Or why did you think that would be a good rental? Not inquisitive in the sense of I'm questioning you and doubting you, but tell me more. When you ask these questions, smile. Absolutely smile with your eyes and your face. That means so much. It sends stuff through their system that says this is a safe place, right? So I would ask them, how did you get started? Where was your first place? We have a thing on our real estate team. We call it getting to know you. It's pretty clever, right? We want to get to know our clients. It's like 4 pages. I told my wife, this is a terrible idea. Nobody wants to fill out this thing. This is a dumb idea. So we send this out at the beginning of every relationship that we establish with a client. 4 pages comes back 100% of the time, filled out more than I thought they ever would. Why? Because they want to tell their story. So we're asking questions. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Right? And you get them thinking, my goodness, the two most answered we get would be Maui and Spain.
But how does that help you help them buy a house?
Right? So if I know that ultimately that's where they want to live, right, then I can create a relationship with Nicole, with myself, and with these people to say, Maui's expensive. Right? Spain is expensive. Why do you want to be there? Why is that the place? What we find is most people honeymooned or went backpacking in Spain after college or high school, right? It's this nostalgia. It's this place of it's romance of where I was and my favorite time. And I want to go back to that time. Well, I know if you want to live in Maui, that's going to be very, very expensive. You better have a very good strategic plan. You better have a good team behind you. That's the kind of stuff that I want to find out. And then we go, so that's the macro. And realtors, stop taking Home Depot gift cards to closings. That is ridiculous. If you're doing that, step up your game. If they tell you they want to live in Maui
You
or
just
Spain,
offended a fraction
good.
of our
I love
listeners.
offending people this month. It's so great. I'm done not offending. Live my whole life not offending. I'm going to do it. It's lazy because they've given you the answers in that questionnaire that we send out. I know if I send them something about Maui or Spain as a closing gift, a beautiful piece of artwork or something that ties us to a common goal, that cape that they're going to wear at the end of this time together, hell yeah, I'm going to give that. That's far more powerful than a $200 gift card to Home Depot. But it's us listening. It's us asking the question. So we go for that macro of where would you live anywhere in the world? And I go, okay, let's talk here locally. Right now, it brings them down to the here and now of where are we going to go next to get to that ultimate goal down the road, right? And that's when they start sharing and sharing and sharing. So those are 2 ways, if you're in real estate, that I would highly suggest is talk about the long-term goal of where they would want to live, their dream place, and then bring it back closer and then really narrow down. I will also tell you this, guys, if you're waiting to sell a home that's 100% of what somebody wants, you're never going to sell a home. Right? When you should buy a home is when you reach at least 80% of the needs you have in that home. I've sold very few homes that were 90% matched to what somebody wanted. Right? There's always something you give up. The smaller mudroom, maybe it didn't have the deepest garage you wanted, or the ceilings in the basement weren't as tall as I wanted, but I'll deal with it. Right? There's just small things like that. So if you get to that 80% number of what somebody wants, you should probably start thinking about buying that house. No matter the financials.
And I love the
Within reason.
within reason. The financials have been the conversation all year, right? That
Yes.
has been the conversation. F the ceiling height.
Yes,
It's all
yes,
about the numbers.
exactly.
So, but as we go into next year, if you listen to some of the economists talking about expecting interest rates to be between, even this morning, I heard as low as 5.5 to 6. I feel like that's a little low. But even if we start to go there, the affordability, the improvement of buying a home at say 550 at 7.5% versus even 575, if we're not going to see massive appreciation this year at say 5.5 or 6, I mean, that's a gain of $600 a month. So you're going to start to have naturally more people who are willing to have the conversation around buying a home, right?
Yep.
This work right now, as I'm listening to you, it's like taking all this data and going, okay, so I'm getting mixed messages. We have more uncertainty than we have certainty. We think that we're going to have slight, maybe negative, maybe positive appreciation. We might see a dip in interest rates later in the half of the year. The market wants to see it early, which means we're going to have pullback. When rates drop that fast, they bounce back up again. More uncertainty, right? But if all this happens and we have a flattened appreciation and we have slightly lower interest rates, and now I can actually afford it, and now I'm interested in talking about the ceiling heights again, have you done the work today that is going to create a full pipeline and an ability to serve your clients in the spring, later spring and summer?
Yep.
Right?
100%. Do the work now.
Oh my gosh.
Do the work now.
So it's creating certainty whenever you can,
Mhm.
is what I'm hearing you say,
Yep.
right? It's getting to know them and asking the one more question.
That's right.
It's absorbing enough of the economic data that you are not surprised when they tell you they're scared about losing their job, right? Because unemployment is ticking up, because continued jobless claims is staying longer, because we are seeing this. And being able to offset what they think might be an easier market when rates drop, because demand will increase, right? We saw a massive increase in demand, of course, off of historically bottom mortgage purchase applications in November, but we saw that really tick up as rates dropped.
Yep.
And then creating this business plan. So the questionnaire, if you were to support an agent today and they were like, I don't even have anything like that, how would you tell them to create that? What's important about that?
Yeah. Number one, you can call me. I can coach you. Number one. No,
True. That's true.
there are coaches out there that will help you with this kind of stuff. I'm happy to share a lot of this within reason. I can't give you the full playbook of how my team operates. My wife would murder me. I think she's listening now, but we can put together some things. We will lead you to some answers, but I think what you can do is just start talking to people and find out what they're talking about and make those the questions you ask of everybody else, right? We consume in herds. It's a herd environment. We all have kind of the same things going on. So any concerns you're going to have with one person probably is going to be a concern for somebody else. But certainly reach out as a coach. I'd love to be able to help and provide you guys with some of these things, these documents. They're really fantastic. This was a game changer for us in getting closer to our clients. I have a thing called Dream House Showings, which if you want to know about, hit me up. I'm not going to talk about it on here, but that has been a game changer as well, where you take information from the past and direct them in the future, using houses to really get them excited about it. And it's a lot of fun. So I can share that with my coaching clients, and I already do, but there's so many ways out there, guys. But the biggest thing is just get into their world, get into their story, know their story almost better than they do.
Mhm.
And then you've got this relationship that can go wherever, right?
So good. And of course, I mean, you could chat GPT a questionnaire and you're not going to like
Absolutely.
half of it and you're going to
Yeah.
rewrite it, but at
Yes.
least it's a starting
It's a
point and it's
start.
something to create those experiences and those stories.
I always forget about ChatGPT. I should use it. I just forget.
You
I forget.
It's
I'm
everywhere right now. It's literally everywhere. All right.
Hey,
So-
okay, we're gonna spring this on you guys.
'Kay.
We're starting a new segment.
Okay.
This is brand new introduction of a new segment
Ooh.
for the show. We're
I
gonna
don't remember
Here
ever
we
giving
go.
you a vote.
Well,
This is
though.
uncertainty
This
at
is
our
the
doorstep. Here we go.
behind the-
back of the room
Did the
drives
back
everything.
of the room get a vote?
It's-
Did you give them?
It's called Hot Takes.
Hot takes.
Hot takes. In
Wednesday.
fact, we even have a jingle. Hot takes. Hot takes. This is the part of the show where we take takes and make them hot. Hot takes. Hot
That is
takes.
your
So I'm gonna
man.
turn
That
it
is
over
your
to-
man. Right?
That's the jingle. Call me Paul Schaefer.
I love it. We'll be selling that.
Paul Schaefer. That's an excellent. Yes. All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Good deal.
Okay,
ahead,
so I
Ruth.
guess we'll be bringing Peter in for the beginning just so he can solely sing that to everybody. Uh, okay, so question for both of you. Have you ever sports betted? Like, do you bet on sports regularly, occasionally? Justin, I'm talking to you.
Because I'm the male here and I know where this is going. I do not. I do not have any betting apps on my phone. That was a conscious
No?
decision I made years ago. I did have proclivity to gamble a little bit more. Is that a word I could use?
Proclivity. I have not heard that. in a
Big
while.
words,
I like
but I don't
words.
anymore.
Those are
Although
good
we
words.
did go to the horse track this weekend. I
Right.
bet $30. That was it over 6
Ooh.
hours. So that
But you
was
bet more than
big.
30, but you lost 30.
I lost 30. I got
Okay.
8 back.
Big
So, but I
spender.
don't. I don't partake. It is a dangerous, dangerous game, and it does give me concern. That was a long answer. to
That was a
short
long
question. Here we
answer.
go.
It took
You?
a whole minute.
I
Okay.
don't. I
You
don't
at
bet.
all.
No,
You're
not at
smarter
all.
than that.
Well, hot take for today. I bring this up. CNBC released an article/video yesterday saying that the rise in sports betting is going to have negative effects on the housing market. Primarily young males, right, are partaking in the sports betting process, thus bringing down household formations. Where do we stand? What's the hot take? Give it to me.
What do you think about that?
I think it's true. I think, first of all, being a male, Peter can shake his head at this. We're a simple animal. We like distractions. We like things. We just are very simple to predict what we're going to do.
Can I use that in my language with my husband?
You absolutely
Simpleton,
should. You're a
simple animal.
simpleton. I
You're-
think one thing I do
I'm
see
shocked
is
you're walking on 2 feet. Can I say any of those things?
But we already know this. We're shocked as well. But I think man, I don't want to say anything too controversial right now, but yes, I could absolutely see that this distraction could take away from personal relationships, intimacy, really growing into who you are with somebody else. I think it can be a very lonely place. I think about the people that I do know that are very into this and how lonely a life it can be at times. And so I do see this as it's a problem. It's a problem. Thank God for strong women picking up the slack and becoming the highest productive
we've
group.
got a handful of strong independent women on our team, I think, and house owners, homeowners. And I do love that. And we were looking at some numbers that 63% of men are single,
Yeah.
right? And 50% don't care to even date. So if that's kind of where things are headed, but luckily on the flip side, and we talked about this at the Goal Setting Agent Ignite, where NAR had even come out talking about some of the buyer and seller characteristics. And then there were a number of reports that we brought up at that same event talking about how single women are becoming a bigger proportion of the buyers.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
So if that's, it's that story brand, if that's who your target, your avatar is, and you're helping them like lean into their story and their success, and their part of their success is the financial strength that as a woman, especially as a single woman, they want for themselves, not dependent on getting married or being in a relationship, then now is a phenomenal time to lean into that story, because it's a time where I think it's being received well, and it's a time probably where it needs to be heard more. Yeah.
Well, either way, gentlemen, let's get it together. Let's get
Please
it
put your
right.
betting down.
Put your phones away. Internet stuff is not your friend. We don't need to bet. We don't need porn. We don't need all that. Let's just get back to being humans. Let's get back to the relationship. Let's get back to giving a shit about what people around us feel, and our strong women that still need us. They still need us for, chores, but they still need us. So let's stand up. Let's be strong. And
there's a lot of things on the top shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here to
Heavy
get 'em.
things.
Yeah.
Tools.
So yeah, I think it's an issue, and I would hate for internet gambling to be the demise of home
Homeownership.
ownership. That would be shameful.
That's a reach, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit of
Yeah.
all right. So we're going to have to find out more data on that.
Here we
and
go.
bring that in.
We're bringing it in.
Um,
Well, there we go.
This has been phenomenal. I think as we start to head towards the end of 2023, and we have one more why it matters, so make sure that you do join us. It'll be the week right before Christmas week.
Yep.
As we really launch into 2024 and dialing in, and where did we land, right? Because that'll be part of the conversations next time, is where do we sum up 2023? How do we put that to bed? And then how do we expect and build out platforms and success and strategies and all the things for 2024, which we're already doing and already talking about, but we'll kind of sum up the financial markets and where we landed at this next time. So I'm really excited that you joined us. Overall, I mean, I really think the topic today was leaning in, was asking one more question, was understanding one more thing about the economy and how it impacts the psyche of your buyer and seller, and being that advocate for your client in today's market. And how do you bring certainty where there's uncertainty? Because 2023 was riddled with uncertainty, and it's time to put it to bed. We need more certainty.
Let's find it. Let's find it.
Yeah.
And that, friends, is why it matters. Nicole, thank you for all you do for our market, for the people you work with, for consumers out there, taking so much time to educate yourself day after day after day. I know it's tireless. It's tiring for a lot of us around you to see how much effort you put into this. It's a good thing. So thank you for that. Thank you, the crew. You guys, thank you for putting this together. This is a lot of fun. Let's go 2024. I'm ready. Let's bring it on. You want to wrap this up?
Yes. Well, we appreciate you spending time with us. Thank you, Justin, for all that you do and the kind of the insights that you bring to the human aspect of being a real estate agent, being in the real estate industry, and who we can be going into 2024. Guys, we look forward to seeing you one more time before the end of this year. We look forward to an incredible 2024 together. And that is why all of this matters.
There you go.
Isn't it?
Yep.
All right.
Now you guys go be somebody that matters.
Bye-bye.